It's the Kyle Hyman Show on Redeemer Radio.
This is Kyle Hyman, and joining us to talk about the apparitions at Fatima, he's going to be a speaker at the World Apostolate of Fatima's breakfast this weekend, is Father Joseph Mary. Thank you for being here, Father Joseph.
Good to be with you, Kyle.
So you are the chaplain of EWTN, but you started, as far as I can tell, as an engineer at General Electric Medical Systems for 5 years. Then you went to work at EWTN. What prompted that change in your career and then eventually your vocation as a priest?
Yes. Well, I did work in the medical industry, and it was a good work, of course, but I just had this sense the Lord was calling me to do something for Him, and specifically for Him. And I got transferred to Dubuque, Iowa to install their new CAT scanner. I'm from Iowa originally, and came across this nun on television. She was just getting the network started at that time. This would have been 1984. Mm-hmm. And they had lots of technical problems. So one night she said, as you can tell, we need an engineer. So if you're an engineer and you want to come help us, come help us. And I thought, well, maybe I can figure out what I'm supposed to do, what the Lord's calling me to do. So I wrote to her and said, I'll volunteer to help you for a year. And that was 1985, and I've never left.
That's
so it's been quite an adventure. When I got here in 85, I was 26, and we had about 20 employees. We're only on the air 4 hours an evening. But now it, of course, reaches the whole world. I think 145 countries, 270 million homes in multiple languages all over the world. We have something like 500 employees all over the world now. So quite an amazing adventure to see how God's providence made it grow.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be speaking about Our Lady of Fatima. Do you remember when you first heard about Our Lady of Fatima?
Yes. In fact, it was when I was an engineer. There was some advertisement for a pilgrimage, I think, to Fatima. I'd never heard of it. Never heard about the miracle of Fatima, the messages of Fatima. So that was really the first time. And then later, when I came to work at EWTN, I learned more details about that. And it really struck me, that 70,000 people witnessed this miracle of the sun, October 13th, 1917. And there was actually an anti-clerical newspaper that was there to show how this is all a fallacy. But he was taking photographs, and he himself witnessed the miracle and then later testified to it. Mm-hmm. So it's quite a remarkable event. But as some have said, it's really a summary of our Catholic faith and teaching in so many ways, so many essential elements that God used these little children to bring us back to the central core message of the gospel.
Talking about the messages that were received, not specifically the miracles that were happening at the time.
Right, the basic messages that the children received. When the angel, there was actually, before Our Lady appeared to the 3 shepherd children, she did in 1917. In 1916, an angel appeared to them 3 times. And the third time, he came with the Most Blessed Sacrament, and they learned this beautiful prayer to the Blessed Sacrament. So it was when Lucia was later asked, what was the most important element regarding all of the events of Fatima, she pointed to that, how it pointed them to the reality of our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. And one of the things I especially want to talk about, because it's so important to us here at EWTN, Mother Angelica was a Poor Clare of perpetual adoration. So their whole life was centered on the Eucharist. One of the things I especially want to talk about is Francisco, now Saint Francisco de Marto, his devotion to the one he called the hidden Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. How he just loved to spend time before the tabernacle and pray to the hidden Jesus.
So was that part of his just personal devotion, or was that part of the message of Fatima, was the hidden Jesus?
It's interesting, he, of course, witnessed the apparition of the angel. He witnessed the apparitions of Our Lady. But when he said, I love seeing the angel. I love seeing Our Lady. And even more, he said, I love seeing Our Lady. But most of all, he said, I love seeing our Lord in this light that emanated from Our Lady's hands. They experienced the Lord. And of course, that's the hierarchy, right? There's the angels, and then there's the Queen of Angels, and then there's the Lord of all, the Lord. And he said that was what he delighted in most, and what he looked forward to, because he knew that he would soon be going home to heaven. Our Lady had told Jacinta and Francisco that they would soon be coming home to heaven, but Lucia would stay a little longer. She lived to be 97, which in the eternal time is not that long. But he knew that he would be going home to heaven soon, and he said that he was looking forward to be able to gaze upon the Lord always in heaven. So, of course, the Lord is the Lord of all. He is the one who satisfies the deepest desires of our hearts. And when Francisco, toward the end of his life, he was the first of the three to die, and he would drag himself to the parish church to spend time before the tabernacle as long as he was able to, but his health finally declined. He could no longer do that. And he would say to Lucia, go and tell the hidden Jesus, that I love him. So even though he couldn't go, he still would ask Lucia to go and make a visit on his behalf.
We're talking with Father Joseph Wolfe, who is going to be coming from EWTN to the diocese. Speaking of some of the high schools, but also open to the public, there is an event on Saturday starting at 7:30 a.m. It's a breakfast with the World Apostolate of Fatima, and there's confession, Holy Rosary, First Saturday meditations, Mass, and the breakfast and talk given by Father Wolfe. And I was kind of curious, has the messages of Fatima, besides you mentioned the miracle kind of having an impact on you, have the messages of Fatima had an impact on your life?
Definitely, and in fact, for the first time, I went to Fatima in 2016. EWTN wanted to do some special programs in preparation for the centenary, the 100th anniversary. So myself and Father Patrick and Brother Leo, with our EWTN crew, went there to go to the various sites and do little teachings. And I think the thing that really impressed me and has really helped me in my own life was the message that was given to children, these children, to make of everything an offering. And there's that beautiful little prayer that they were taught. Like when something's difficult, something's really hard in your life, we all have sufferings, we all have things that are disappointments, things that don't go our way. Well, they can have a benefit when we offer them with love. You see, love makes them something valuable, not just something to be escaped from. And we do seek relief, of course, but sometimes we can't find relief. Well, it's in those moments we can unite it to love, and that beautiful little prayer, "O Jesus, this is for love of you, for the conversion of sinners, and in reparation for the offenses against the Immaculate Heart." So when we do that, it transforms our sufferings. Now they can be an act of love. Now it can be, as Lucia said, she said, her life, she lived to be 97, and she said, my life has been difficult, but what of it if I can prove my love for God? And that's what we do when we continue by faith, even through trials, difficulties, things that can confuse us, and we say, I love you, Lord, and I want to make this a proof of my love, that I'm going to trust in you.
So when you're speaking at the event on Saturday, what kind of a message do you hope that people go home with?
And it does begin at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, like you mentioned. And I think two things, well, really three things, and I like to point to all three of the children having a specific message that they give by their witness of their lives. Lucia said in her memoir, she said of Jacinta, that she thought she received the greatest outpouring of graces. They had this horrifying vision of where poor sinners go. Lucia said Jacinta's desire for sacrifice seemed insatiable. She would make an offering of everything. And one time when they were playing, she said, "No, let's just stop playing and we'll make a sacrifice of that. We'll make an offering of that." So it was a simple thing, a little thing, but it was something that could be offered. And then when they were thrown into prison unjustly and they were threatened of being put into boiling oil, the other prisoners in the cell said, "Well, just tell them what they want to know." And Jacinta said, "No, never. I'd rather die," because Our Lady had told them not to reveal these things. And then she was crying, and Lucia said, "Are you afraid?" And she said, "No, I realize we won't see our parents again, and I'd like to at least see them." And Lucia said, "Can you make an offering of this?" And little Jacinta raised her eyes to heaven, and she made an offering of it. So she teaches us the value of sacrifice. The world teaches us indulgence, pleasure, comfort. Seek these things as much as you can, and that's what's going to bring you happiness. Well, it doesn't. But love does. And when there's genuine love, there's an element of sacrifice in genuine love. So Jacinta teaches us that. I already mentioned Francisco and the devotion to the Eucharist, and Lucia, especially devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, because she said, "You mean I'm going to have to stay here?" Jacinta and Francisco were going to go be taken to heaven. And Our Lady said, "My heart will be your refuge." So it is for us too, that Mary's heart's going to be a refuge for us, and she said it will be the way that will lead you to God. And that's what Our Lady does. She always brings us to Jesus. The last words of Mary recorded in the Gospel are, "Do whatever he tells you." The last words of Jesus about his mother, "Behold your mother." So the two of them you'll always find together in authentically living the faith. Mary leads us to Jesus, and Jesus tells us that his mother will help us. She's our mother too.
When you were at Fatima, did you experience any miraculous events?
I think the thing that moved me the most, I didn't see any miracles directly, but just the devotion of the people. And you always have, when you go to these international shrines like Fatima, Lourdes, you experience the universality of the Church, how the Lord really does unite us from various countries, languages. And so at the end of the day, you have this beautiful Eucharistic candlelight procession. And there's a bringing of the statue of Our Lady, and we process around in the area there in front of the little chapel. And it's in various languages, and yet we're all united in Mary's heart to our Lord. So I think that's the great miracle when you think about all the division and divisiveness and conflicts, that there really is a path to unity. There really is a path to being able to love one another, and it's with that grace of God that Our Lady leads us to.
All right. Well, to hear more from Father Joseph, come on over to the breakfast on Saturday. It starts 7:30 a.m. is confessions, Holy Rosary, First Saturday meditations. 9 a.m. will be the Mass. And after Mass, there will be the Marian procession and a breakfast at the Grain Wayne Center. And, of course, you can hear Father Joseph Mary Wolfe talking more about Fatima. And you can check out fatimafwsb.org for more information and to get signed up. I think it's too late to get signed up for the breakfast to be guaranteed to have a breakfast, but you are definitely welcome to come. And again, information is at fatimafwsb.org. Thank you so much, Father Joseph Wolfe, for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Pleasure to be with you.